Hello, today we're going to be talking about the 505 test for horizontal agility. This test measures, as the name indicates, both horizontal speed and agility. This test can be modified for athletes who participate in sports such as basketball, soccer, and hockey. In this case, they would just use, in the case of basketball and soccer, the ball to dribble, and in hockey, a stick and puck to stick handle to measure how quickly they can change speeds. Now we're going to look at the test layout and the equipment needed to perform this test. Now this diagram does not show cones at the starting line, but cones could be used here and here as well, so that the athlete knows where they're starting from. And then we see cones 3 and 4 here, and then cones 5 and 6. Also, we would need a measuring tape to measure out our 10-meter span from the starting line to the starting gate, and then we would need to measure 5 meters from that starting gate to the turning point. As well, we would need either a stopwatch or a timing gate to be at this 10-meter mark, whichever one is available. We're going to talk about the accuracy of those a little bit later on. Now, a quick run through of how this test would be performed. We would have the athlete starting, obviously, at the starting line, and they can go whenever because the time does not start until they reach the starting gate. So they're going to start here and sprint as quickly as they can. Once they reach the starting gate, that is when the time will start. They will then run to the turning point and make a cutting motion and pivot off of either their right or left foot. This will be determined beforehand so the athlete knows which foot they're going to cut off of. Make a 180-degree turn and sprint back through the starting gate, which is now considered the stop gate for their time. So their time will stop here, and that is when the test will end. A few considerations to remember while instructing the athlete is that, as mentioned previously, we let them know which foot they're cutting off of when they hit this turning point, whether it's their right or left foot. Secondly, we want them to build up as much speed as possible. So from the starting line, even though their time has not started, they want to sprint as quickly as possible so that they've caught their highest speed coming into the starting gate for obviously a short amount, in the shortest amount of time possible. And then a third consideration would be as they come through the stop gate, they continue to run through the line as to not, again, slow down their momentum and speed. So a recommendation would be that they run all the way back to the start line and kind of look at that as their finish line so that they don't stop or slow down as they approach the finishing gate. We will now look at a demonstration of the 505 agility test in action. Okay, so while this test did not have a timing gate or a stopwatch, we can see that the athlete started at the starting line here, and once they reached the starting gate, that is when their time would have started. They pivot off of their right foot, make a controlled turn, and then the time would stop when they come back through the start-stop gate. It would be important as well if this test was going to be used for assessment purposes that there would be a second person here to ensure that they touch the line, which would obviously affect the time if they came up short. Okay, a few pros and cons of the 505 agility test will be explored now. Pros would be that it's easy to set up, takes very little time, just a few minutes with a measuring tape and some cones. And then if there's a timing gate, that would need to be set up as well. If there is a timing gate being used, then it's very accurate because it's going to sense the motion of the athlete both going through the start and stop gate and get an exact measure. It's fairly simple to execute. Obviously, it's quite a simple test, so it's very little instruction and explanation needed in order to perform the test. On the flip side, there are some cons. For sports movements, we talked earlier about basketball, soccer, and hockey. So looking at those three sports, agility is often something that is not pre-planned. It's based off of conditions that are outside of the athlete's control. So those are known as an open skills. And this is more of a closed environment, which means the movements are pre-planned. So some authenticity is lost in a test such as this because the athlete knows exactly what they're doing, as opposed to a sport. They need to react to the defense or to their teammates and be able to chase a ball or a puck. Secondly, for a con, the timing gates can be pretty pricey. So although they're accurate, they're expensive as well. Another con would be if we can't afford to use timing gates, then we'd be using a stopwatch. And at that point, we're relying on the error of the person using the stopwatch, them having to start exactly when the person crosses the start gate and then stop exactly when they reach the stop gate as well. In a test this short, even just a few microseconds and just a little bit of a delay or an early start can dramatically affect the time.